Why are authors so scared of AI? I have found that it is nearly impossible, no matter how rational your argument is, to actually get someone who is against AI to be in favor of it. And I know that despite any videos that I put out trying to explain the subject, most people will not even listen to the argument itself because they're just so set in their ways. Now, I don't necessarily blame them, and this is why. Because AI is pretty scary. It has a lot of different implications and it will disrupt the industry in good ways and bad ways. Most people see this, they become afraid of it, and they will therefore fight tooth and nail against the technology of AI. Now, for example, one of the big arguments against AI is that AI is, quote, stealing copyrighted material and using that to create a profitable product. And part of the issue with this is that AI developers did actually use copyrighted material in their training data set. But as we have seen with literally every single court case that I know of that has been brought against these companies so far, that's legal. The courts have been dismissing these cases left and right because there's actually no evidence that there is any sort of actual copyright infringement, which they have to prove in order to show that using copyrighted material in the data set is a bad thing. And indeed, if you understand why these cases are being thrown out, then you will understand why using copyrighted material in a training data set is not actually stealing. Nevertheless, to authors who really don't understand copyright law too well, this 100% feels like theft. Someone took their work without their permission and used it to create a product that is making them money. It is completely understandable that that feels like stealing. Plagiarism, it feels like theft, but it's not. And that's the real source of the issue here. It's that a lot of these authors who are AI phobic, which is the term I'm going to use here, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because I do understand the fear that these authors have, but these types of authors are often using their emotions to guide their decisions more than logic. And no amount of facts will ever change the position of someone whose position was initially created out of their emotions. And we know this is to be the case because there are companies out there that are doing everything completely by the book. A good example of this is Adobe, who has only been training their models on stock footage that they have access to in the Adobe stock library. They're not scraping the web. They're not stealing anybody's work that's outside of the stuff that they clearly have the rights to use. No one can argue that they are not doing everything exactly by the book. And yet there are so many people who are still very upset with Adobe for including AI inside of their tools anyway. And why is that? Because the issue has never been about the so-called copyright infringement, plagiarism, or any of that. People are just afraid. And again, that's totally understandable because it takes a lot of time and work and effort to become proficient in any artistic category, whether that be writing or art or music. And when a technology comes around that feels like it might replace you, there's that word again, feels, it suddenly feels like we're all going to be out of a job pretty soon. And that is honestly quite terrifying. And that's why so many people are afraid of AI, and no amount of arguments or videos on this channel is ever going to persuade people to change their position. They've already made up their minds and no amount of logic is going to help. And one of the reasons for this is what we call an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. Now, I want to give a quick shout out to Kevin McLaughlin, who wrote a little bit about this topic on the AI Writing for Authors Facebook group. But the basic idea is that there are two different types of mindsets: scarcity mindset and abundance mindset. When you have a scarcity mindset, you basically have this idea that there are limitations to what you're able to do. You have a fear of not having enough, and that usually leads to a lot of anxiety. It will lead to unhealthy competition with others. And these people also have a sort of victim mindset where if something goes wrong, it's not any of their fault. It's just things that are happening to them that are to blame for the lack of success that they may be having. It's this idea that there are external factors that are beyond their control and indeed actually have control of their lives, and that they are really powerless against them. Now, on the other hand, there is the abundance mindset. And this is the mindset that you are much more likely to see among entrepreneurs and other really successful people out there, because people with an abundance mindset often take personal responsibility for every situation that they are in. Even if there are external factors at work that they can't control, they look at those opportunities more as challenges rather than situations that they can't do anything about. And most of the authors and artists that are having a really tough time with AI are people that fall into that scarcity mindset rather than abundance mindset. But for someone with an abundance or creator mindset, AI presents itself as much more of an opportunity rather than a threat. AI allows us to do things that we would never have been able to do before. So a good example of this, I often see comments from AI-phobic authors about how if you use AI, then you're inherently lazy and you don't know how to work hard, okay? This is a common criticism of those who use AI. Well, imagine this. Imagine without AI, you're a very hard worker and you're able to produce a product that's up here, okay? And I'm just using an arbitrary number here. Let's say you're able to produce a level 8 out of 10 product, okay? Here comes somebody with no talent. They haven't worked at all at the thing that this other person is doing. And with AI, they're able to produce a product that is at the same level as the person who worked hard to get there, roughly an 8 out of 10, right? And again, I'm just pulling these numbers out of the air. This person who worked so hard to get that 8 out of 10 product is going to feel very threatened by this person who didn't do any work and created a similarly quality product, right? And this is where that scarcity mindset comes in. If you have a scarcity mindset, you're going to look at that and you're going to say, oh, that person just did that because they're using AI and therefore they're actually lazy. Well, imagine then what an abundance mindset person might look at. They've created this product that's an 8 out of 10 with a lot of hard work, okay? They see somebody else producing an 8 out of 10 with just a little bit of work. A person with abundance mindset might say, well, if they can do that with AI and only a little bit of work, what could I do using AI and also working really, really hard? And this is what is more exciting to me and to other entrepreneurial authors who are embracing these technologies. Now, perhaps with AI and a lot of hard work, I could get a product that isn't just an 8 out of 10. I could get a product that's a 15 out of 10 or a 20 out of 10. You see what I'm saying here? There is opportunity in these new products. And if all you're doing is looking at the people that are quote unquote lazy and are able to produce products similar to you're not thinking big enough. You've got to look at, well, if they can do that with minimal effort, what can I do with a lot of effort? And suddenly you're going to be up here as opposed to down here. And that advantage that you lost supposedly from the lazy people bringing their products up to here, suddenly you're going to be able to stand on the shoulders of the same technologies that they're using, but your hard work ethic, everything else that you've achieved from all that hard work, your knowledge of storytelling or art or whatever it is, all of that is going to lift you up to a point where you can now do things that you would never have been able to do before, and you can still stand out above the person who is not putting a lot of work into it, because even though with only a little bit of work they can do a product similar to what you could do before, you can still outshine them by using the same products, the same techniques, but add in your own expertise, your own hard work, all of that. And that's where we see the real difference between those who have a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset. With the abundance mindset, you're much more likely to look at this person as an opportunity and the AI as an opportunity to let you climb higher rather than as a threat presented to you by this quote unquote lazy person who is now using AI to get them to where you were. So if you're listening to this and you're genuinely scared of AI, I would invite you to actually go in and start learning about it. I think for one, you're going to find that it functions very differently than what you might think. And if you can put aside your fear for just a little bit and understand that there is opportunity here to allow you to do things that you could never have done before, then you will actually start to see some incredible success coming from these technologies, allowing them to lift you up and allow you to do far more than you could have ever done without AI. If you've enjoyed this video, I have a whole video that I did about other concerns that AI authors often have, particularly around creativity and whether AI can be creative. So go ahead and check out that video where I talk all about that, and I'll see you in the next one.